Hello, if anyone's listening or watching this, this is Kieran Hayag, the writer and director of Cure.
And this is Alex Rynders, the producer of Cure.
And, the intro was quite long, but we kind of have to jump into it because it's a short film, and we don't have all the time in the world. So,
Right.
Just as a quick note, this opening is supposed to kind of mock like those early 2000s drug commercials where it's all gritty and gross looking. So the grossest place I could find was the abandoned kitchen of a old Red Robin's where I
That's
used
right.
to work at. Not Red Robin's, it was a virtual reality center that was
That
built
used to
in
be
an
a Red
old
Robin.
Robin's. Yeah.
Right, yeah, and to go back to your bit about everything being gritty, is I think we actually used that ad of the "This is your brain on crack" as our visual guide.
Yeah, not the original, the sequel to that one.
Right. The one
That
with
one- that one's-
the pan smashing all the dishes and all that.
That one's more funny, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it quickly transitions into a cheap infomercial with kind of inspired by like Billy Mays or not Phil Swift because he's too good for this.
He's a different genre and caliber of infomercials, I think.
Yeah, and then it quickly transitions into a medical commercial. So it's like all three of those types of commercials and ads kind of smushed into one ad for Ebola. And I actually went back in the texts from when I first pitched this to you, and you actually were the one who mentioned Ebola.
Oh, really?
So this whole Ebola thing came from you just mentioning people getting high off Ebola. High off of Ebola.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. That's a nice surprise.
Yeah, and we're already like 2 minutes in, and here's our opening titles, which were made like over a year before the actual film was finally released.
Exactly. I think that the opening credits were the only part that we finalized, like way before we finished shooting the film.
Yeah, and also the piece of music you heard there is actually it's not the very first piece, but it's our little intro into the Cure theme written by Julian. I'm gonna butcher your last name, Argerbrite. I'm gonna say Argerbrite. He worked with me at Spaces, that virtual reality place I was talking about, where we filmed the infomercial in the Red Robin kitchen. It's confusing, but met him there. He said he wanted to work on music for some project or whatever, and I said, "Hey, I got a project," and
He
just kinda
did
happened.
he did a great job.
Yeah, and that track was actually a test track that he wrote, but I liked it so much that I made it the opening intro. So thank you, Julian, if you're listening to this. Thank you.
Yeah. One of the fun little things about this little frame here is the out of order sign on the TV above the claimed to be broken TV. We, for whatever reason, we weren't allowed to move that TV out of the room, and we had to come up with a reason why they couldn't just use that one, and so we stuck a out of order sign on it. And if I remember correctly, I think we had 3 or 4 different signs because every time we had to shoot, we're like, "Oh, the TV's in the shot. We need to make a new sign."
Yeah, we kept forgetting about continuity, and luckily we kind of solved that. Well, we had to solve that through insert shots. But we'll get to that shot later.
Yes,
You accidentally almost made a cameo in this scene.
that's right.
Scene
We had
on
to
the far
crop
right.
this. I think in this part of the shot right here, I'm actually just hovering above him, like a vampire.
Yeah, and this was actually one of the most difficult things to shoot. I really hated this shot from like when we tried shooting it like 3 or 4 times earlier.
Oh, there's
so this was
Nash.
actually one of the last
John
things
Mars.
we did.
Yeah.
And yeah, on the TV we have your short film, Shelter.
And then we go
playing.
back into the audio of Shelter there too. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not just any audio. It's altered audio with a certain actor that you don't like talking about.
Yeah, that the one who shall not be named. The interesting thing about this is actually one of the locations we had to use after we began reshoots of the film, which we can go into in a bit. But we could not have asked for a happier accident. All of the curtains in the room were already red and green, and so it fit their wardrobe perfectly.
Yeah, so the aesthetic kind of found us.
Yeah.
Magically somehow. And this montage was also filmed at that same house, our friend Liam's house. And we kind of improvised we knew like the kind of locations we wanted, but we didn't know exactly where until we started shooting this montage. We literally just went around the house being like, here, we'll just shoot it here. Oh, cool, we have a garage, we'll shoot it in the garage. And then we just started shooting.
It's the funniest thing about this little bit here with them walking back and forth is it was funnier for us to watch it because the room was so small that him trying to pace back and forth was like he'd get 2 steps because he's so tall and have to turn right back around.
Yeah, and here we have your cameo.
Ah, there I am.
Actual cameo.
The actual planned cameo, yeah.
Yeah, you're playing Brian Hancock, our version of Chris Hansen, on his show A Killian Ways to Die.
Yep.
Which is like a murder mystery kind of show / I don't know,
true
criminal capture
crime?
show.
I don't know.
True crime.
Yeah, it's a weird mix of things.
And here we finally have the characters introducing the cure and virus into their story, but yeah, that blue light you see on them is supposed to be, I think it's kind of obvious, but it's supposed to be the television screen, but I didn't want to have it be like a realistic television screen on them. I was kind of inspired by, Creepshow, where they have, like, whenever anything supernatural happens, or to kind of heighten the
drama
craziness
factor
of the world, they would have a super colorful or saturated light on them. Even if it doesn't make sense in real life, it's just kind of there to remind you that their world is not exactly normal like ours. It's slightly dystopian in a way, not full on dystopian like RoboCop, but like it's just kind of veering into that a little.
Right. And the that picture he looked at was an actual picture of Charles, the actor, Charles, with his actual girlfriend. And I'm really hoping they're still together because...
that'd be awkward.
It'd be a little bit awkward if he's just... His whole legacy is this short film where him and his girlfriend are actually in it together.
Yeah, and those boxes that you see, the virus cure boxes, those red and white little boxes were actually made by me. I designed them in Photoshop using a box template that I got from senior year in high school.
Oh,
and then I just filled out the template with my own designs. I kind of just looked at my medicine cabinet and just took out a bunch of boxes, looked at them, and took notes on what they all had in common. So like big texts with like the product, contrasting colors, usually white and some other color, whether it be blue or red. Red was the most the one that was there the most, so I chose red. Plus just knowing cures and blood and stuff, I thought it'd be cool to be red.
Yeah.
But I also wanted it to be kind of appealing, kind of like candy, so it kind of has that slight shine to it. You can't really see it as much.
Yeah,
it's slightly glossy.
Yeah. Everyone on our set loved the boxes, though. They just wanted to like hold them the entire time. They were just in love with those things.
Yeah, and I think we should mention we should mention Mark, who this production would not have been possible without him. He was awesome.
Just he lent us so much equipment. He built us. He built and then let us use a crane. That you can kind of see the shot with later, but he was more than generous to this production.
Yeah, a crane made of carbon fiber with a Ronin gimbal at the very end of it, with our tiny little Sony A6000 camera.
Right. He had to.
It was the weirdest setup in the world.
He had to put metal weights on it so that it would register the weight of the camera.
I guess my camera was so small. But yeah, he was great, and he kind of helped out with like just random things here and there, whether it be sound or holding the camera. Like when you see them on the couch, like with that overhead shot, that was him holding our camera attached to a long pole, just holding it up
just
against
pinning
the ceiling.
it against the ceiling. We had to
just barely off frame.
We had to start recording, put it up against the ceiling, bring it down, stop recording, and then try to tape a mark so that we were at like the right angle so it would be right on. It was such a difficult process.
Yeah, and these medium shots of Charles right here were taken when Adrian wasn't even on board yet, because I remember we had one day of shooting with Charles by himself, but we realized that we needed to kind of see Adrian next to him, or Nick next to him. So if you look on the medium close-ups of Felix, on his left you'll see a red sweater, but that's actually not Adrian playing.
It's
Nick.
a pillow.
It's actually just a pillow with the red sweater on it.
I don't even know if we like fully put it on, but I think we just draped it over the pillow just to have that color in the side.
Well, at least I'm not afraid to try new things. Maybe
Yeah,
I should learn that.
and I actually like this shot. I'm
is a
still
very nice
surprised
shot.
by the color, like the color of the red door, like that was not at all planned. I'm still surprised by that.
This shot specifically is, in my opinion, probably the most cinematic shot in the whole thing. Like the way that we creep in with the Ronin, just the composition of the whole thing. It's really well done.
And I like how his face is really engulfed in blue at the very end of that.
Yeah. It's weird because usually you
kind of-
would engulf someone being mean or evil in red, but to have that really dramatic blue gives kind of the same effect to a more extreme effect.
Yeah.
The needles on those syringes are in fact real. My sister is going to school to be a vet, and her teacher had given her some of these. They're meant for like large animals, like cows, sheep, all that stuff. And we like cut them in half or something to them, and we put them on. So we would have them actually do the full motion with a real syringe, and then swap it out and do the full shot again, so that we could get the follow through of that action. And I don't think anybody got stabbed.
Yeah, thank goodness. But on the shot where he's sliding down the couch, it still kind of freaks me out because you can see him drop the syringe on the couch, and as he's falling down, the syringe kind of gets caught in his clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like he's about to stab himself, but thank goodness he didn't.
Yeah,
but,
that would have been unfortunate.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and those syringes were just painted plastic syringes we found on Amazon, but
right.
It gets the job done.
The first syringe that we had ever bought, we bought it from a Halloween store, brought it into my car, it took it out of the packaging, and the thing self-destructed in our hands.
Yeah, I think we pressed like the little press once, and then it just exploded.
Right, and it wasn't
Spring.
like it was
I think I found the spring in your car like the last time I was in it. It's still that syringe was horrible.
This the whole thing of him tackling him and yelling at him. I'm pretty sure we did like 30 takes of this.
Yeah, the takes you see on the behind the scenes little doc that we have on this channel, those weren't all the takes because we didn't record every single take. But I don't know what happened, but Adrian playing Nick just couldn't stop laughing at him at Charles for like yelling in his face. I don't know.
Right.
It took over like an hour or two just to get that one shot.
Well, the way that we finally got him to do it with a straight face was we had to again put tape on the ceiling and tell him to look at the tape and to not look at Charles at all. And that was the only way
finally
we could do
worked
it.
after like the 5th try, but he kept laughing for some reason. But
Right. Yeah, it was the build up to being tackled. Oh, we did so many takes of that too.
Would you stop bringing up Ava? Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts.
I do like here, because it was added in post, it wasn't any original script, you have the audience audio on the TV kind of reflecting how the audience should be reacting. You have like the laugh track,
Well,
the
almost
cheers,
like the opposite of how they should be acting. Like them getting frustrated at each other, and the audience like laughing at their frustration, kind of like Schadenfreude or Freude. I don't know. I can't speak German. But
yeah, Schadenfreude.
Happiness for the misfortune of others.
Mm-hmm.
And this kitchen part was actually supposed to take place in that same room from earlier, but because of the reshoots and having to relocate, we ended up splitting this scene, and we relocated it into their kitchen. And it actually worked out fine because it kind of diversifies the settings a little. Like you're not stuck in one setting for the entire short film.
Yeah. And this, Liam's place where we were shooting is actually a guest house with like soundproofing on the inside, because it's usually used as like a band recording studio. And so we thought, hey, it kind of makes sense that that's a guest house, and they move into this other house, which is actually my house. So these are two different places, one in Long Beach, one in Anaheim. So that's movie magic there for you.
Yeah, and if you're confused as to why, as to like the living situation of these characters, it's Nick's house, well, his parents' house, but Felix is temporarily living in their guest house because of his breakup with Ava.
Mm-hmm.
And most of these shots inside their kitchen were actually filmed like early in the morning, and we had to black out that window. So that window is actually completely blacked out with trash bags.
And for him to take off that sweater, the first couple times we did it, his shirt came off with it. And so we used not even gaff tape, we used painter's tape to tape his shirt down to his pants. So that his shirt would
if he
keep
took his shirt off,
up.
that would have been really awkward.
Yeah, it got really awkward a couple times.
Oh, and if you guys want to look for continuity issues, just this entire scene, well, this entire film is full of them, but especially this scene, the kitchen top is never, ever consistent.
No.
The chairs actually disappear at one point on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, if you want to look out for that, which you probably shouldn't. Actually, don't look out for that, please, don't. That vomit, or that bloody vomit, was actually made out of chocolate syrup,
strawberry syrup,
and occasionally granola bits.
And a little bit of water to kind of
bits.
get them more liquidy. But yeah, we ground up those goldfish actually in the shot right now. We ground them
we
up.
Didn't even take them out of there.
No, we didn't. And that was, yeah, it's just continuity all the way. But yeah, we'd put chunks in it. I thought it was our first special effects shot. It's really subtle, so I'm glad nobody's noticed that.
Yeah, that bowl would not break. If you saw the behind-the-scenes documentary that we put on here, that bowl just did not break. So we had to eventually put a metal block down.
Right, and then I had to rotoscope it out, and that took forever.
And here we are, finally moving outside. But the whole fight scene between them was inspired by like Sam Raimi films, like Evil Dead 2, just kind of weird and wacky and kind of fast.
Kind of like uncomfortably violent in ways.
Yeah.
Like almost like very intimate violence of just like a lot of just hands-on and close-ups.
And this is actually the first time we shot this strangling scene. Apparently it was too silly for some people, from the people that I tested it with, so we actually reshot it to look a little less silly, because like his eyes were like bulging out of his face.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, that's just his it's great the way he does that, but
I hate that shot. I mean, I love the shot, but I hate it. Seeing all of that foaming mucus stuff just hit Charles in the chest always gets me.
Yeah, and that was just toothpaste that he spat out.
Yeah, we had him brush his teeth for like 3 minutes straight to get that much foam going. And he had to do it like, what,
but then
2
we
or 3
also had to do
times?
multiple takes.
Yeah.
His teeth were so clean by the end of it. and then our only jump scare in this whole thing.
Right. It's a stylized jump scare, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's my Rian Johnson Last Jedi shot with Rey's hand coming down. That was the only shot I stole.
Right. This is one of my favorite shots, just the way it like creeps toward the car with the Ronin. Because I think it was you and I grabbed one side of the Ronin and just walked right behind him, and we didn't have.
Yeah.
And the way that the Ronin was, we didn't have the monitor open on the camera, so we didn't know what the shot looked like until we stopped recording and looked at it.
Yeah.
So we was just going blind.
Also, this film is sponsored by In-N-Out.
In-N-Out, Swiss Miss, Goldfish. Yeah, quite a few of them, actually.
And, and Cool Whip.
And oh my goodness. Yeah, they got so sick
Ready Whip or whatever.
off the Ready Whip. They were eating it so much that they just got sick of it. Also, this is
this
our
shot is another...
second special effects shot. There was we left a water bottle up on the car there, and it's gone.
I have no idea how, but it just kind of got there.
Yeah, and I covered it up, and it was, best shot of the year. Best cinematography, best special effects, I mean.
And then here's here's that crane shot we were talking about earlier.
Yes. It's this. I still can't believe we got this shot, because the rest of it feels like very grounded, just like us holding a camera or on a tripod, but to have a crane shot like this at the very end, it just looks really, really impressive.
Yeah, and actually it wasn't supposed to be upside down originally. It was supposed to be just right side up, but I had to make it upside down because continuity wise, with the next shot, he gets up looking to the left,
right.
But when he got up, he was looking towards the right.
It was
and
a little bit
kind
of
of weird
if
the position just switched immediately. So I kind of had to flip it upside down, but it kind of looks cooler, I guess.
Yeah.
And then here's the very
and
last shot.
to get this, we actually had a pole, and we put 2 Parcan lights on it and just ran at him, and that's how we got car headlights. We actually were going to drive a car at him, but we couldn't get it to, look good enough.
Yeah, and here's our really short end credits with a song that, yes, we did license. It's like a weird French kind of song. But yeah, that's it.
That is Cure.
Hopefully people watch this.
I hope so.
If not, it'll just kind of be stuck on YouTube.
Right. We gave some good insight though. One last fun fact is that all of Charles' socks were destroyed because he only wore socks throughout the entire production, and he was constantly wearing the same
one pair of socks
and walking on concrete and asphalt, and they were just riddled with holes by the end of this. So
yeah, their outfits were pretty disgusting by the end of all this, especially that blood-covered one, because that had to last for like a couple months.
Yeah, I was keeping that in my closet between shoots, and that got pretty gross. But yeah,
blank screen.
It's that was Cure. It took us how long to make that? That was technically 2 years from start to finish. Oh man, it felt like a lot longer than that.
A year and a half.
But, yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, it's in every production there's always things that you wish you could do over and stuff. But I think that what we made is as close as we could have possibly gotten to the original vision and still actually finish and create it. So I'm proud of the end product of this.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but at least we tried. Like, we really tried with the budget we had. And by budget, I mean no budget.
Right. Yeah. After the first time we shot it, we had to do reshoots. We exhausted all the money on the first shooting of it, and so everything came out of our pockets for the rest of it. So
yeah.
And I don't know if I really want to look into how much we actually spent, because it might depress me. But
I think it was worth it. I think it was.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this was our commentary track. I hope you learned some new things along the way, and some new lessons, new facts.
Yeah, or maybe, hopefully you're inspired by this, and I want to encourage more people to make stuff, even if it costs nothing, because film doesn't have to be like this super expensive.
Yeah, and then no matter how against the plan it goes, you still find a way to do it, because in the end you look back on it and it's a lot of fun to watch. Be like, wow, all the things we had to overcome just to make this.
Yeah. Okay. So, goodbye, viewers.
Goodbye.